You saw it. I know you saw it because I saw it. I was there. I saw what the hell happened. The Clippers are down 0-2. Familiar territory. But does this spell doom? Is this the end for them? Are the Phoenix Suns desperate to go to the NBA Finals or destined to go to the NBA Finals? On a morning like this morning, I would be sitting up there and saying, excuse me, we got to talk LA. We got to talk LA. But guess what? We are going to talk LA, not just because of the Clippers, but also because Alex Caruso for the Los Angeles Lakers could not stay off the weed. Duh. I mean, damn. Another one. First takes in the house. Let's go.
We got to get the job done. Let's put one together right here.
Crowder throws it up. Booker's going to go back to the locker room. Devin Booker drills it. Paul George misses a pair, and the Suns with a chance to win it.
If he throws it, you got to, try to dunk it.
Crowder looking, throws it. Alley-oop. Oh! Ayton puts it down! He puts it down! Suns win game 2.
Jay made a great pass. And I just finished. Enjoying the win tonight and getting ready for LA.
Last night was ridiculous. Enter your seat. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to First Take. Thank you for being with us. Hello, Max Kellerman.
Molly.
I'm Molly Karen Rose. Stephen A. Smith. Good day. Saw you all over the coverage. Fellas, let's get right into
it. What's so funny to me is Stephen A. got 90 minutes sleep because of airline delays, right?
Yeah.
He said he was going back to take a nap at the place. There's always a million things to do. Good luck getting a nap in. And then the game ended late last night, and there was stuff to do after the game, and he's working on. You didn't catch up on any sleep. You're not fooling anybody.
I did it. He's right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I heard you on the cold open. You could barely get the words out.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I'm tired as hell, but I'm ready.
You're always ready when the light goes on. You're always ready.
When the light turns on, so does Stephen A. So let's do this because that finish, unreal, guys. Again, the Suns shining up 2-0 as they head to LA. Still no CP3 or Kawhi Leonard. DeAndre Ayton in action with a finish for the ages. Props to him for executing and Monty Williams for dialing it up. High risk, high reward as they're sitting pretty. But not so fast. Don't count out Ty Lue and the Clips with their backs against the wall, and Paul George has been shouldering much of that load. Paul, talk to us.
With this team, if anything, we're more confident. Every series we've been down 2-0. We've handed over 2 wins to the other team. But if I know this team correctly, the fight we have, going into Game 3 and the fight that we have to believe that, we're going to change the series. That's who we've been and that's who we are. And so I'm very confident in our group. And, fact of the matter is they did what they were supposed to. They won their 2 games on their floor. We got to go home and protect our house.
I know I say it every time, but seriously, playoff P with playoff hair there, always on point. Stephen A., you're up first. Is this series all over?
I believe it is. I do believe it's over. And when I say it's over, I mean the Phoenix Suns, I believe, are going to win this series. It doesn't mean it's not going to go 6 games or 7 games or 5 games. I don't give a damn. I'm just telling you that when the series is over, I believe the Phoenix Suns will be going to the NBA Finals. Because I don't believe the Los Angeles Clippers without Kawhi Leonard can beat the Phoenix Suns the next 4 out of 5 games. It's really, really that simple to me. That's where I'm at with it, Max.
No, I don't think the series is over at all, but we're on the same page about one thing. You have to have Kawhi. If they don't get Kawhi back, it doesn't matter if Chris Paul's playing or not, they're not going to win this series. But with Kawhi, Stephen A., you absolutely can't count them out. Number one, Kawhi Leonard's one of the all-time great postseason performers. It doesn't mean he's never messed up in the playoffs. We saw against Denver, but he's got 2, not 1, but 2 Finals MVPs. And if they gave out an MVP for the whole playoffs, he'd have won at least one of those 2, which is the real NBA season that matters the most. He's an incredibly clutch player, a great two-way player, and as I said, a 2-time Finals MVP. 2, Ty Lue. Ty Lue, for my money, is the best coach in the league. Greg Popovich, Eric Spoelstra, by the way, Monty Williams, and others. But if I had a coach for my team, I'd want Ty Lue. And Stephen A., we've seen it twice so far in these playoffs. The Ty Lue team has come back down 0-2. And the greatest comeback ever against the invincible 73-win Warriors by the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016, down 3-1. Ty Lue coach team. So you got Kawhi, if Kawhi plays, and you got Ty Lue. And then finally, Stephen A. They just had home court, a raucous crowd, a great performance by Booker. You had a great performance by DeAndre Ayton, Monty Williams drawing up plays, the whole thing. They, by the skin of their teeth, defended home court just now, won both games. By the skin of their teeth, they won both games. Don't tell me the Clippers at home with Kawhi can't even it up, and now it's anybody's series best of 3.
Well, what I would tell you is that this segment was supposed to be a quick segment, and clearly you ruined that notion. So since you did that, let me say this to you. Yes, Ty Lue can coach his butt off. Yes, the Clippers are capable of doing a lot of different things. But here's my thing. When they came back from 0-2 to Dallas, they had Kawhi Leonard. When they came back from 0-2 against Utah, they had Kawhi Leonard pretty much for the most part before he got injured late in Game 4. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint that in this particular situation, not only do you not have Kawhi Leonard, but the Phoenix Suns won the first 2 games without Chris Paul. Chris Paul will be back Thursday night, okay? Just trust me on that. He'll be back. And as a result of him being back, and Devin Booker, by the way, how many games is Devin Booker going to play like he played last night? We don't see that very often from Devin Booker. I don't think we'll see it again. I think he'll play significantly better than he did last night. Cameron Payne, a reserve, comes off the bench, Max. A backup point guard comes off the bench, okay, and drops 29 with 8 assists in 37 minutes without one single turnover. Let me tell you something right now. When I think about that, I think about a Cameron, Jordan, him coming out and hitting all 5 of his shots. I'm looking Cam Johnson. I'm sorry. When I look at him hitting all 5 of his shots, this dude can be a marksman. He can hit from long range. I just look at Phoenix right now, and I say they were just as handicapped in their own way as the Clippers were.
Okay,
but somehow they won the first 2.
That's right. They were both behind the 8 ball in terms of not having their best player or their leader. Bottom line,
and I don't think Kawhi may be back.
That's a whole different story. If that's the case, I'm hearing the same sort of thing. Then it is over. But if Kawhi comes back, keep in mind on the road they lost by a single point on a miracle play after Paul George missed both free throws.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Max. I'm glad you brought that up. So Paul George, an 85% career free throw shooter, missed the 2, as you just mentioned, 8 seconds remaining. Max, how much of this loss falls on PG13?
I can't put it on Paul George. Look, that moment's not for him. I know he hit a clutch shot before then, but it didn't surprise me that he missed those free throws. He has a reputation in the playoffs for a reason, but Stephen A., he's a number 2. He's not a number 1. They're playing without their number 1. And he didn't have the most efficient game, but he played well enough that his team was in a position to win, right? If you're going to count those free throws against Paul George, then you also have to count Kevin Durant's air ball against KD. I'm just saying, most people don't count that against KD. I'm not counting this against. I'm not saying this. Paul George is the reason they lost that game.
Well, recline back your chair and take notes about the game of basketball. Right here, right now, because that's one of the most utterly nonsensical things that came out of your mouth. When you talk about Paul George, okay, Paul George showed up and went on his personal 8-2 run, Max Kellerman. But did you know that this season, first of all, for his career, Paul George is an 84.7% free throw shooter? This season, he was shooting 86.8% from the free throw line. Do you know that in more than 100 tries this season, Max, Paul George missed 2 free throws once in February? In February. One time. The other 100-plus times that he had an opportunity to hit both ends of a free throws, he made them. He's never missed 2 free throws in a row but once in a regular season in February. Now, Max Kellerman, I'm not the one that loves to use the word choke. You do that. You've done it with James Harden. You've done it with a few other players. Fair enough, because I understand where you're coming from with that, even though I don't agree with you about James Harden. But here's the deal, Max. To me, the definition of choking is when you do something all the time and then the moment arrives and all of a sudden that's what you don't do. Paul George is at the free throw line and he did something he almost never does. When Paul George bounces the ball and he spins the ball before he shoots the free throw, he never puts his head down, Max. What he did last night, he put his head down and took a few extra seconds to think before he launched those free throws because he was caught up in the moment. He literally missed those two free throws because, no. Not, listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is he missed those two free throws because of the moment. If he hits those two free throws, Max, he's up 3. If he hits those two free throws, he's up 3. If you're Monty Williams, you got to call a play for a 3-point shot.
Professor
you don't get to call an alley-oop at the basket on the inbounds play because you're down 3, not 1. Him missing those 2 free throws cost the Clippers the game.
Yeah, okay. Professor Naismith, I have a question based on the notes I just took. If you do something that it never happens to you, right? And then it happens to you under pressure, that's when you say you choked. How often does Kevin Durant airball threes, especially in the final minute, say, of a regular season game? Is he airballing threes?
Almost never.
KD airballed a 3. Now, I'm not going to say it's KD's fault that KD
when did he airball a 3?
He airballed a 3 in the last
I'm sorry,
series.
I honestly don't remember.
In Game
when
7,
did he airball a 3?
Last shot of the game. With the game on the line, he could have he could have 3 seconds left in the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean, hold it. You mean a guy that played all 53 minutes?
You just said, when did he airball a 3?
Hold on, time. Hold on, wait a minute. But he played all 53 minutes, and he dropped 48. That is just, Max, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm sorry. That's just a dumb statement. That's just an absolutely dumb statement you just said.
Except that
he dropped 48
I am making
points.
the point.
He was busting it.
I am making
and
the
point.
point.
Is he was a contested 3,
he
and he had no legs.
KD had a great game. If it was not a good 3 to take, he had 3 more seconds to get a shot off. He should have taken a higher percentage shot. He thought he had a matchup. He had an open look. He took the shot. He missed it. And his team lost. It was Game 7.
Why are you allowed to talk basketball?
That's the definition
Why
of
do I have to listen to you talk
If you're going to
basketball?
blame Paul George for the missed free throws, you got to blame KD for the missed 3.
So you're comparing a free throw.
Yeah,
so
he had a good look at a 3. He airballed it.
Hold on. You're comparing a free throw in regulation from a guy that got rest that usually makes the free throw to a guy that shoots a contested 3 after playing
Stephen A.
52
I'm not blaming KD or Paul
doing?
George. I'm not blaming either one of those dudes. But if you blame Paul George, then you got to blame KD.
I want extra money from the company.
Listening skills.
That I have to listen to this man talk basketball.
You don't need to listen to him.
Jimmy
Listen
Pitaro,
to me.
Norby Wilson. I want more money. To have to listen to you?
Yes, Miss Molly.
Oh, my God.
I'm listening. See,
my Lord.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Molly. I apologize.
I took notes for Stephen A. I'm listening to Molly.
All right. We're gonna come back to this a little bit later. But guys, as great as last night's game was, it was almost soured by the.
It's gonna hurt. It's not gonna be easy. You're gonna get knocked down, eliminated, humiliated. MJ went through that. LeBron went through that. All those things is part of being great.
You cannot keep me down.
Flex on him, Giannis.
We are built for this. The job is not done.
You cannot keep me
Ahead of the Bucks and Hawks Game 1 matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals, let's examine some storylines, shall we? Trae Young enters the series 12 straight 20-point games. That streak trails only Bob Pettit and Dominique Wilkins, longest in Hawks playoff history. Get it. The Bucks have been plenty comfortable at home this season, judging by their 5-0 mark. That said, they are just 3-4 in Game 1s under coach Mike Budenholzer. And Milwaukee has had success against Atlanta over the last 3 seasons. The Bucks are 8-2 against the Hawks in that span, though Atlanta has won the last matchup despite missing Trae Young. You know what it is. Atlanta at Milwaukee, Game 1 tonight. Trae Young and Giannis. Max, does ATL have to steal one of the first 2 to win this series?
No, they don't. I don't know where we got hung up on this. I know, look, the team that goes up 2-0 is likely to win the series, right? That's why you want home court. But what do we always say? You got a series once the road team wins a game, once the home team loses a game. Why does it have to occur in the first 2 games? Have we seen the Milwaukee Bucks of recent vintage, last several years, the Giannis Milwaukee Bucks blow a 2-0 lead? Yeah, they've done that in the not-too-distant past. Does Trae Young seem to be the type of cat that's going to get demoralized by being down 0-2, and he has Collins. He has a little crew with him. They can play. They can score. And look, Giannis is still the same guy who you can wall off against. You can wall him off. You can wall up against him and force him to do things that he's less comfortable doing in the playoffs, which is why he needs his role players to step up and his second and third bananas to step up. So that falls on Middleton and Drew Holiday. And the reason those guys aren't perennial all-stars, they're once in a blue moon all-stars, once in a while all-stars, is they don't do it consistently, Stephen A. So must the Hawks win one of the first 2 games to win the series? No. They just eventually need to win a single game on the road.
Wake up. Just think of me as your alarm.
I finish. I mean, listen. I fell asleep during that damn soliloquy because here's the deal. We're not looking at history or tradition or what the records show about teams being up 2-0 as a reason for saying the Hawks can't afford to be down 2-0. We're looking at the match. We're looking at the matchup. And the reality is that when you see the personality transplant on the defensive side of the ball that this Milwaukee Bucks team has had since P.J. Tucker has arrived. Since P.J. Tucker has arrived. When you think about Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and the fact that the combination of the 3 no longer have a Kevin Durant to be concerned about. Certainly Trae Young is a star and Trae Young can ball, and we all know that. But he's no Kevin Durant. He's not 6'11", with a 7'6" wingspan that can pull up from the parking lot. He's a miniature guard who's cat quick, who can cause you some problems if you're not careful. We get that. But the personnel that the Milwaukee Bucks have in place, certainly I look at Atlanta, they can shoot the basketball. We can't ignore that. We can't ignore the fact that they can't shoot the basketball. I'm sorry, I dropped my mic here, slipped off my tie, guys.
Yeah, why don't you just take a second and put it on, because it's rubbing against something there, Stephen A.
I got you. Got me now? You got me now?
Gotcha. Yep.
Got me now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks. You can't ignore the fact that Bogdanovich and Collins and these guys can shoot and play. But if you look at Milwaukee, Max, I got to be honest with you. I'll be shocked if this series goes past 5 games. It just shouldn't go past 5 games. Unless you hack a Giannis and you send him to the free throw line and he does a poor imitation of Ben Simmons at the free throw line. Unless you do that, there is no excuse for this Milwaukee Bucks team, considering its size, its perimeter shooting ability, its defensive prowess, its experience, the fact that even if Giannis is bad, he can still give you 25 and 10, along with their depth. There is no reason why the Milwaukee Bucks shouldn't go up 2-0, go to Atlanta, steal one of those 2, and come back to Milwaukee and close it in 5 games. I'd be shocked if that didn't happen.
By the way, I like the Bucks in this series in 5 or 6 games, something like that. About that, we agree. What I'm saying is, I don't think their success, the potential success for Atlanta, is predicated on them stealing a game on the road. In other words, they can lose 2 on the road. I think they're going to lose a series anyway, but that not because of that. They can defend home court. They're fully capable of beating the Bucks 2 at Atlanta, and then eventually, like I said, just about the other series, you just have to win a single game on the road. It doesn't much matter where in the series that occurs if you defend home court.
But I think if you steal one in Milwaukee, then chances are you'll get one in Atlanta, and you'll come back after 4 tied 2-2 with a best of 3, which I think would put them in a really formidable position. I think if you fall down 0-2, then that's not the case. I don't see them winning 2 straight in Atlanta to tie the series. That's one thing to point out. And Max, what I want you to think about is this. Even though we saw Milwaukee collapse, we saw them a couple of years ago in the conference finals succumb to Kawhi Leonard. Because Kawhi Leonard, when Nick Nurse walked into the locker room, as my man Phil Handy, he was on All the Smoke a little while ago with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, and he was highlighting what a dog Kawhi Leonard is, obviously complimentary, of course, that's what I mean by that. And what he was talking about was how Nick Nurse walked into the locker room after they were down 0-2 and said, we got a few adjustments to make. And Kawhi Leonard said, the adjustment is I'm guarding Giannis. period, and walked out the damn locker room. And that was that. And the series turned from there. But you also had Kawhi going berserk, a bigger guy, 6'8", couldn't be pushed around, could do his thing. Last year in the playoffs, when they lost to Miami, who was the guy making noise? Yeah, we saw Tyler Hero and other guys, but Jimmy Butler was up in them as well, and Bam Adebayo. What I'm saying is with Atlanta, the key is going to be Trae Young. And when you consider how miniature he is, it reminds me of a couple of years ago when they went against Boston, when Kyrie was there. And Kyrie was in Boston, and as electrifying as he could be, even though you still had Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and those boys, the reality is a miniature dude going up against Milwaukee doesn't bode well for them. And that's how I view Atlanta.
The way I look at this, look, I like the Bucks to win, and partly it is because Trae Young is small, because Drew Holiday is as good as you can do guarding a small guard. Like, if you need a guard matchup and you have a dynamic point guard on the other team, but he's small, you want Drew Holiday on your team. That's what Milwaukee has, and that matchup, I think, is pivotal. He ain't going to stop Trae Young, but he can limit him in certain ways. So I also like the Bucks to win. But the way I view this question, do they have to steal one, is what's the personality of the best player on the team, on Atlanta? What's the character of their leader? Trae Young does not seem to me, we haven't seen him in this position before, but he does not seem to me to be the kind of guy who we're down 0-2 and he won't rise to the occasion. He seems to me, match up, whatever, he is going to give it his best effort and lead his team to at least a victory or two that they wouldn't otherwise have. In other words, it's not like we're down 0-2, series is over, because I don't think Trae Young is that kind of player, whatever his height.
Well, I'm not gonna argue with you about that. I'm just saying that I'm just looking at the matchup, and I'm looking at the weapons that Atlanta has at its disposal against this particular Milwaukee squad. And I think matchups, you know, as they say, max styles and matchups make fights. And I think for the Atlanta Hawks, this is the worst case scenario for them remaining in the playoffs. I think going against the Clippers, they got a better chance. I think going against the Phoenix Suns, they got a better chance. But I look at Milwaukee, and I just look at their size, their perimeter shooting, and the personality transplant that P.J. Tucker has infused in that defense, along with Drew Holiday. And I think that's a lot to overcome. I hope I'm wrong, because I'm on record. I'd rather be in Atlanta.
Atlanta's the fourth best team left in the playoffs.
So I'm rooting for them.
If we had to rank the best teams left in the playoffs, most people would put Atlanta fourth out of four. You know, like they're not quite as good as the other teams if the other teams are at full strength. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, the four teams remaining,
Ain't
none
that
of
what
them
I
have.
just said?
Stephen A's focused on the cities.
Go ahead, Molly.
Listen, I got nothing bad to say about Milwaukee. I got a lot of calls. I hear it's a great city.
I tried to help you,
so
Molly.
I got to stay open with it, right? I've never been. All right, I had a great know what I needed to get and see. You guys are messing me up here. Now we just got to move forward. What was the biggest reason for the Suns' win last night? We'll look at PG's missed free throws, Monty's perfect inbound play, and some aggressive. Suns beaming, taking a 2-0 lead as the series shifts to Los Angeles. Still no CP3 or Kawhi Leonard. Devin Booker, not his best night. DeAndre Ayton with an alley-oop that will go down in playoff history. Mr. Smith, where are you? Let me see that face. What was the biggest reason for the Suns' win?
Well, to me, the biggest reason was two-part. Number one, it was Cameron Payne, as I mentioned earlier, a backup point guard that obviously has been counseled and tutored by CP3, that played 37 minutes, shot 50% from the field, 12 or 24 shooting, finished with 29 points, 8 assists, not a single turnover in 37 minutes. That is a spectacular game numbers-wise. It didn't look spectacular because there was a lot of sloppy basketball on the offensive side. The guys were just missing shots. I shouldn't say sloppy because they didn't have a lot of turnovers last night. They just weren't making shots. I'd bring him in and DeAndre Ayton, who was at 24 and 14. The brother's playing big time. You got to give credit where credit is due. Former #1 overall pick that was picked ahead of Luka Doncic and Trae Young is flat out balling and validating his stature as a former #1 overall pick, because you can't teach 7 feet, and he's really the lone big man that they have. So I give them to a lot of credit, no question about it. That's what comes to my mind more than anything else.
Well, when one guy takes two, who am I supposed to talk about now exactly? I'm going to talk about DeAndre Ayton, because that's the reason, Stephen A. DeAndre Ayton was the #1 overall pick, and guess what? You can't call him a bust. You cannot call him a bust. If you're the number 1 overall pick and you can't be called a bust, you're a hell of a player. And DeAndre Ayton was already on his way. CP3 clearly accelerated that this year. Let me tell you why they won last night. And the Clippers so far have demonstrated to me they're the superior team on a neutral court. If you need miracle plays and the other team to miss free throws and everything and you're winning by a possession at home, you're probably beating a better team. Let me tell you why they're winning, though, without their leader, without Chris Paul. Because DeAndre Ayton has come of age. He has arrived in these playoffs. He matched up with AD, too green. I mean, AD was hurt, but no, that was not the case. AD had his hands full with DeAndre Ayton. Oh, now it's Jokic. How's he going to stop Jokic? Because Jokic could kill you passing, too. He did that, too. DeAndre Ayton has elevated himself now to all-star status. When the season starts next year and we look at him, we're going to be thinking potential all-star this year. He has a very good chance to make that team and make it on an ongoing basis. And what does that mean? It means, unlike a team like the Bucks, who, hey, we have Giannis and Middleton once in a while might make an all-star team, and has Holiday ever made one? That kind of big three. No, they have Chris Paul and Devin Booker and now DeAndre Ayton. That's a legitimate big three. It's the last remaining one. And what does that mean? It means even when one of those guys isn't playing, in this case, Chris Paul, their leader, you still have enough. He was dominating the boards and stretches in that game. Forget about the winning alley-oop dunk, right? But he was the difference. You bring Cameron Payne, and they have a good team, but DeAndre Ayton was keeping them in it even when the shots weren't falling. He has arrived. Phoenix has a big three. Even without their leader, they were able to win.
All right. Let me ask you this, Stephen A. Coming to you here. So the final 1 minute, 57 seconds of the game took over 33 minutes of real time due to lengthy reviews. How bad is this for basketball?
It's horrible for basketball. It's incredibly bad. Listen, the last minute and a half took about 30 minutes to finish. The last 30 to 40 seconds took about 27 minutes. There is no excuse for that. Zero. And it's a bunch of micromanaging that's coming from the league office. It's a mandate down to the officials. Scott Forster, the lead official last night, did not have a handle on things. It just took too damn long. Too much stuff to figure out. It should not have taken that long. I completely support Jeff Van Gundy complaining about it, even though Mark Jackson was hilarious, calling them Groucho Marx or whatever the hell he called them. Listen, basketball is a rhythm game, like a lot of other sports. And you have to take that into consideration, and we have to accept human error. Now, obviously, you have with the advent of instant replay and all of this other stuff and technology, Max, where you can slow things down and get it correct. We understand the importance of that. I'm not attacking, the fact that you're doing that. I'm attacking the fact that somehow, some way, after all of this time, you haven't mastered to expedite the process and to get it done quicker. Because you got to take into account the fact that you're playing within the flow of a game and you're affecting potentially someone's performance. If you play basketball, Max, and you're sitting on the bench, what was the thing that we went off about Frank Ntilikina, with the Knicks when they lost to the Atlanta Hawks in Game 1? What we went off about, Max, was that Tom Thibodeau pulled Frank Ntilikina off the bench.
Cold,
hadn't played him the entire game. Right. And flat out cold, you're asking him to guard Trae Young.
Basketball is a game of
There's something to be said for that. Well, but that's a coach messing up or a player messing up. That's not the officials. In this case, you got the officials disrupting the game because clearly they haven't mastered their art to the degree that they should have, so you can expedite this process. I think it's an incredibly bad look for the league, and it definitely was a bad night for Scott Forster, the official.
Right. This is the debate show, but I don't think we disagree about this one. It's just we're just going to agree about this. I think there are two separate issues. One, should you even involve instant replay the number of times that they did, because it messes up the flow of the game, right? That's one. But two, like the NFL, what takes so long? What the hell takes so long? I'm sitting in my living room. I can see in 5 seconds on instant replay. Okay, sometimes I think I know, and then they show another angle, and I go, maybe see the third angle. Stephen A., I'll know in 15 seconds the right call on my couch, right? But people who are trained in this, who have the technology right there, it takes them a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It's absurd. It's absurd. Make the best reasonable guess you can make based on the instant replay and move on, if you're even going to use it. Now, sometimes there are things like that play with Devin Booker when Pat Beverly poked it out and everyone was complaining about it. Yeah. Actually there, I understood why they did the call the way they did. Usually when a guy pokes it out, it's at least simultaneous. Like if he's not the last guy to touch it, his hand's on the ball at the same time as the other guy. What instant replay showed there was, no, in fact, clearly, Devin Booker's hand was on the ball last, even though Pat Beverly forced it out. No one liked the call, but by the letter of the law, they got it right. I'm not beefing with that. A lot of people have beef with that. I'm not even beefing with that. But get the thing done and move on. It does not need to take that long. Again, if you're on your couch and you know you're 90% sure within 15 seconds, why do they need to take 5 minutes? It's ridiculous. It ruined the flow at the end of that game.
And you're empowering the officials to dictate an outcome when you lag like that. And you got to remember, the game took over 3 hours. The game took over 3 hours last night.
Even the last play. The last play, Monty Williams draws up the last play, and Jeff Van Gundy was calling for it, right? So it was a brilliant play, yeah, but Jeff Van Gundy knew what to do, directly into the alley-oop. But you don't even have time to set everything up if there's not so much time taken on replays. It's like extra timeouts.
No question. Thank God for naps and espresso. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now. All right, guys. Mad Max lived up to his nickname last night because he seemed to be battling the umps last night.
You want some of this?
Did someone say first take in the afternoon?
You want some of this?
Wait. I get to battle Stephen A in the midday?
You want some of this?
Cutting it close to your bedtime. You gonna be okay?
Step into me, kid, then you go.
Guys, save it for June 30th and July 1st. That's right, 2 afternoon special editions of First Take starting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern only on ESPN. Don't miss it. To the diamond, with Major League Baseball beginning its crackdown of pitchers using foreign substances this week, Max Scherzer was checked 3 times during 5 innings of work. Each time the umpires, they found nothing illegal, the last of which was instigated by Phillies manager Joe Girardi in Scherzer. Salty. Listen.
I've seen Max a long time, since 2010. Obviously, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But I've never seen him wipe his head like he was doing tonight, ever. Going like this, right? So it was suspicious for me. He did it about 4 or 5 times. I didn't mean to offend anyone. I just got to do what's right for our club.
The only part that was sweaty on me was actually my hair. So I had to take off my hat to be able to try to get any type of, try to get some type of moisture on my hand to try to, mix with the rosin. For me, that's the confusing part. Is I'm just trying to get a grip of the ball, and you can even watching that previous at bat, the ball slipped out of my hand, almost drilled somebody in the face.
Okay, Dodgers star Clayton Kershaw among the many that saw that viral clip following the Dodgers game on Tuesday night. Kershaw defending Scherzer, calling for consequences on managers if they call for checks and find nothing. I think there should be a punishment if they don't catch anything on the guy. Scherzer, one of the best pitchers of a generation. To see him get checked, I think it was a first and third situation or guys on base and mess up his rhythm. I think he ended up getting out of it, but you better find something if you are going to call him out like that. Stephen A. Has baseball gone too far?
I think yes. Bottom line is, sometimes we all know shenanigans go on with pitchers. And Max, I won't go long with this, Max. I'll go with you, and then I'll come back after you say what you have to say. But you can go a bit too far, and I think that last night was a perfect example. I'm going to say this, Max. I think Girardi should be ashamed of himself. I really do. I side with Clayton Kershaw on this. And I'm going to use the word ashamed when it comes to Joe Girardi, a man of very, very, very high integrity for this reason. Because of his high integrity, because of the principled man that we all have known him to be from his days with the Yankees, obviously, to now, a great manager as far as I'm concerned. When you cast suspicion on somebody, it has weight. It matters because we know how principled you are. So to just dismiss it as you didn't mean to offend anybody, but you just got to do what's right for your team. No, it's bigger than just your team. It's bigger than just the game. You are questioning the integrity of a 3-time Cy Young Award winner, a surefire first ballot future Hall of Famer, one of the great pitchers this game has ever seen. who had already been checked twice because that's allowed in the game, to then call upon him to be checked a third time, you are casting aspersions and great levels of suspicion on Max Scherzer. And if there is no evidence for that, to you to sit there and just say, oh, I've never seen him put his hand in his head like that and all of that stuff, knowing how the high integrity man that you are, the principled man that you are, and the weight that you cast the suspicions on somebody would bring, because you're so respected as an individual, it's not just about the game, and it's not just about your team. It's about the overall game of baseball and the integrity that you brought into question about Max Scherzer. If I'm Max Scherzer, I would have a huge problem with Joe Girardi, the man today, because a game is not worth what he did to Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer did not deserve that. That's what I took from it, Max.
I disagreed with your point in the beginning. I thought you argued it persuasively, but I have a different, bigger point to make, Stephen A. I love baseball. I know you did too. I know your dad was a big baseball guy. You know, my father grew up in the South Bronx, like in the shadow of Yankee Stadium, basically in the 40s and 50s. Like, I love baseball. But I'm just sad about this because the only time we talk baseball is when there's a scandal or during the World Series. And as a boxing fan, I can tell you, that is bad news, baseball fans. You usually don't come back from that. If you are marginalized to the point where we only talk about you on a national show, locally it's got a following, but nationally, if there's a scandal or during the World Series, and otherwise you get no shine nationally on shows, on First Take or other national shows, it's sad. You know why, Stephen A? While people are talking about who has sticky stuff on it and all this kind of stuff, Jacob deGrom, the Mets ace, is doing something right now, by far. Look in the world of sports this year. No one's come close to doing what he's doing in the NBA, Major League Baseball, or the NFL. I mean, this dude has 12 starts and a .5 ERA to start the season. This is one of the great streaks ever, history of sports. And no one's talking about it because we're talking about, and by the way, when they checked him for sticky stuff, he was laughing. He's like, check me all you want. I'm clean. So it just makes me sad as a baseball fan. I thought you argued your point persuasively, but I think there's a bigger point here.
Max, Stephen A, I'm sorry to cut you guys off. Max, you were so great on this, but we got a heart out here. When we come back, Kawhi Leonard has been one of the best players in the NBA over the last decade since he was drafted 10 years ago today. Time flies. But is he the biggest draft day steal ever? Our guys say no way. We get into that next.
Pick in the 2011 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Klay Thompson from Washington State University. With the 15th pick in the 2011 NBA draft, the Indiana Pacers select Kawhi Leonard from San Diego State University. With the 30th pick in the 2011 draft, the Chicago Bulls select Jimmy Butler from Marquette University.
Yes, the 2011 draft somehow 10 years ago today. So guys, let's get into this. This segment, what, Max Kellerman? It's called Molly's Deal because it's dealer's choice and I'm the dealer. So I want to know, who is your biggest draft steal of all time that didn't go in the top 10? Max, you're up first.
Jokic, clearly, easily. Jokic didn't go in the top 10, he didn't go in the first round. In the modern era, no other second-round pick has ever won an MVP. He is the reigning MVP of the NBA, taken in the second round. Greatest passing big man maybe ever. Can shoot the lights out as a low, down low. And he was a second-round pick. It's Jokic.
Stephen A, who you got?
Max, I give you credit where credit is due. I wasn't even thinking about that. You're absolutely right. I would tell you, just for, I wasn't really thinking about this subject too much because it was just an opportunity for me to give Klay Thompson praise. I saw his video where he was working out again yesterday, got back on the court for the first time. This was the 11th pick in the 2011 NBA draft. Kyrie Irving was picked before him, obviously. Guys like Derek Williams, Enes Kanter, Valanciunas, Bismarck Biyombo was picked ahead of him, Brandon Knight, Kemba Walker, Jimmy Fredette was picked ahead of him. Klay Thompson is one of the top 5 shooters in the history of basketball. A career 42% shooter, from three-point range. He's so lethal, and I miss him so much. I cannot wait until he's back on the court healthy with Steph Curry. It's just my own personal affection kind of thing. I just love watching him. That's all. Max is right about Jokic because he was a second-round pick, but I'm just a Klay Thompson guy, man.
Let me throw another name at you guys that everyone loves. Manu Ginobili, right? 16 years with the Spurs, 4-time champion.
I thought about him.
Right? I mean, come on. He went 57, as in he almost was not drafted.
Right, almost undrafted. Moses Malone was the last top guy undrafted. Yep.
All right. All right, that'll do it for us.
The ABA, really.
We'll be back tomorrow breaking down the game. Stephen A, get some sleep. We will see you in the morning. Bye, everybody.
Get some sleep.
Everybody want to focus on the Philadelphia 76ers. Doc Rivers, Ben Simmons, and all of that other stuff. You know what I'm focused on? What the hell happened across the river? That's what I'm focused on. Brooklyn, stand up. KD, Kyrie, James Harden, home. Just like the rest of us. That's what the hell is on my mind right now. Not to say that the other stuff ain't on my mind, because it is. And it's bad enough that's on my mind. With Molly and Max here. But I'm being touched by magic this morning. Get ready, y'all. First takes in the house. Let's go.
Both teams in a win or go home situation.
Something that most people think, a lot more at stake, obviously.
Game 7 is what everybody wants.
Oh, baby, a right hand jam. We're starting to get some pace.
Floats for Capella, who grabs and flushes. Fires a long three.
And that might be the Sixers season.
This team is special, man. Winning this building, Game 7, it's huge for us.
Good day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. We have a 5-time champion, a Hall of Famer, a business mogul. He can dress in a smile that lights up any room. Irvin Magic Johnson. So good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you for coming to the East Coast for a hot second for us. You'll be with us the entire show.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, too.
My brother.
Well, you know, you called, bro. I'm here, man. Come on, man. And
I feel you.
Good to see you, Max.
You too, Magic, always.
And dressed for the occasion. Guys, we got a lot to talk about. Stephen A teased it. Let's do this. We ready? We ready?
Oh, hell
okay.
Yeah,
You want to start in the East Coast? Because I can do that. All right.
Let's do that.
We start with last night's elimination game. The Hawks were too much for the Sixers in advance to face the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. This series has been all about Trae Young and Joel Embiid. Embiid putting up 31, 11, and 3, but it wasn't enough. Ben Simmons, meanwhile, struggled. 5 points, 8 boards, and 11 assists in that pivotal play where Simmons turned down a scoring opportunity inside and passed the ball to Thibault. Joel, talk to me.
I don't know how to say it, but I thought the turning point was just, you know, we had an open shot, and we made one free throw, and we missed the other, and then they came down and scored, and we didn't get a good possession on the other end, and Trae came back and he made a 3, and then from there down 4, and then it's on me. I turn the ball over and try to, make something happen from the perimeter, but I thought that was a turning point.
Doc, do you think Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
Gentlemen, pay attention to these numbers, will you? So not Doc Rivers' best coaching effort. His fourth straight game 7 losses are tied for the longest such streak in NBA history. His 29 losses with an opportunity to clinch a series are the most among all head coaches. Rivers has an NBA worst 341 win percentage in such situations. Magic, you are up first. Who looks worse here? Is it Doc or Ben Simmons?
Well, it's definitely Ben Simmons. Doc doesn't play. So we have to remember Doc has won a championship, so he knows what he's doing. Listen, when you're the second best player on your team and we say, hey, he's a star, he's been an all-star, you got to perform like one. And Ben Simmons did not do that. He wasn't aggressive. But the Sixers lost this series in Game 5. If they had won Game 5, they would have won this series. But they lost the series when Coach McMillan of the Hawks did that hacker Simmons, and they couldn't go to the free throw line and hit those free throws, and that's where they lost this series. And then he lost his confidence in Game 5 as well, right? And so Now it's time for a new destination and a new place for Ben Simmons. It'll be great for him. It'll be great for the organization. Rich Paul's got to go out and do his thing as his agent to get him in a place where he can thrive, get his confidence back. Hopefully there's a star at another team who needs a change of scenery as well, and bring that person into Philly. Fan base loves the Sixers in Philly, and this man can talk about that, more than I can. I played against the Sixers twice, so I know that fan base. They love the Sixers, and talk radio this morning is probably talking about, getting Simmons out of there. Mm-hmm. Doc Rivers prepared the team, but he can't shoot free throws. He can't knock down shots.
First of all, here's the deal. There is no excusing what's going on with Doc Rivers. I love the man personally and professionally. But there have been several collapses on his watch. And this weekend is particularly devastating because the Los Angeles Clippers won a Game 7 and went to the conference finals for the first time in franchise history in Ty Lue's first year. And he did it the last 3 games without Kawhi Leonard.
Go look up Ty Lue when he's down in a series or when it's on the line.
I got you. The point is that you consider what Ty Lue did in year 1 and that Doc Rivers didn't do it in 7 years. And then on the same weekend, you lose a Game 7 to an Atlanta Hawks team most people thought that you were supposed to beat. This is not a good day for Doc Rivers, number one. Yep. But having said all of that, I roll with my man Magic Johnson. Ben Simmons has got to go. He's 24 years of age. He's a star talent.
Right.
And I'm not saying that Ben Simmons should be given up on because he's some scrub or anything like that. It goes to what you pointed out, Magic. I know Philly.
Yeah.
I worked there for 17 years. I was a columnist for my last time. Let me tell you something right now. That city ain't going to ever forgive him for what they have seen. And here's why. Not just that he missed shots. He didn't take them.
Yeah.
See, when you see the Greek freak in Milwaukee miss or make, he takes them. Ben Simmons is literally scared to shoot the basketball. He gave up a wide open dunk because he anticipated he was going to be fouled and didn't want to go to the free throw line. 34% shooting in the postseason. For anybody who's attempted 70 or more, it's the worst free throw percentage shooting in the history of basketball. It is the league Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal played in. Right. And they shot better from the free throw line than Ben Simmons. This is very, very bad. And when you take that into consideration, and you combine that with the fact that Philadelphia being a very unforgiving town, and they don't know how to let off and lay off, and they're going to constantly berate him, and it's mental. Yeah. With him, I don't believe he can overcome that, Max. In the city of Philadelphia, you got to move him. I'm going to say it right here on national television. Try and get yourself somebody like C.J. McCollum. Mm-hmm. Bring him to Philly. Send Ben Simmons to Portland. Because with all the perimeter guys they have in Damian Lillard, it would work.
That's how bad his trade value has been diminished. Now it's like, can you get C.J. McCollum for Ben Simmons?
It was 4 years, $140 million.
Ben Simmons cannot be fixed in Philadelphia. I agree with you. And by the way, the Philly fans get such a bad rap for riding guys. How were they with Markelle Fultz? When he was going through problems, that city supported him. Any little positive thing he could do, they're doing the same thing for Ben Simmons. The city's behind him. He just let him down. I think it's over for him. They've supported him. I think it's over for Ben Simmons in Philly. Can Doc be fixed in Philly? I agree with you both. Ben Simmons got to go. Can Doc be fixed in Philly? Look at what just happened. Look, you're right, Magic. He's already shown he can win a championship. With a big three in a league that didn't have any other big three. They were the only one, got one. Collapsed, more playoff collapses, the stats have been going around, et cetera, et cetera. And I love Doc Rivers. I loved him as a point guard for the Knicks. But we have to be honest about this. You can't play Dwight Howard in that game. Or Shake Milton. Like, those guys can't see the floor. He went 10 deep in a Game 7. Think about what was happening in that game early on. Dudes who were getting cooked. Like, this is just coaching stuff. Gallinari was cooking George Hill. Seth Curry was getting cooked by Herter, right? And then they're playing a backcourt of Trae Young and Lou Will. You got to punish that. Offensively, you have to. They can't play defense. You got to punish
but with who? Who are you going to punish him with?
Well, if Tobias Harris would be nice if he showed up.
Okay, but that didn't happen. Danny Green hurt. His injury hurt the Sixers. So you can't judge Doc Rivers until Danny Green is in that lineup. But this is it. You talked about last season. Doc Rivers wasn't playing against the Denver Nuggets. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George didn't show up in Game 7. Jamal Murray outscored both of those superstars. One man did, right? So that's not Doc's fault. Same thing here. Listen, Ben Simmons got to take ownership and say, listen, this is what's going on out here. I know Embiid's going to give me 30. I got to get at least 20 to 25 for us to win.
What do you get for Ben Simmons? And who should want him?
Well, a solid player. McCollum would be great because he can shoot. He'll stretch the floor. He can play alongside.
And he ain't scared to shoot.
Exactly.
Stephen A., who do you think should want Simmons?
I just said Portland. I think a team like Portland with the perimeter players and the style of play that they have, not to mention the fact that their Achilles heel is defense.
Yeah.
And Ben Simmons doesn't have
Great,
that.
I think he's the best defender in the league.
He can defend anybody. But let me also add this. Here's what I will, again, you're right about Doc Rivers. Here's what to point to, though. Seth Curry is a damn good basketball player, and we've been very pleased by what we've seen from him. He's undersized against Herter. You know it, you see it,
I'm saying.
You do very little about it. You gotta. I understand Trae Young is a threat, but Trae Young was 4'22" before he hit from the damn logo in the last minute or so. Okay, Herter's hurting you all game long.
Right.
At some point in time, you got to make that decision. Get off of him. If you got to double up to get the ball out of his hands and force somebody else to shoot, disrupt their rhythm, do something, as opposed to keeping the undersized Curry on.
Stephen A. Magic, you guys are right about Ben Simmons. There's no argument. I'm just saying Doc can't slide. Like Brett Brown, you were calling, and you take that very seriously. You're not calling for people's job. But you said you have to take a long, hard look at Brett Brown after a certain amount of time, right? He never got out-coached like that.
Oh, hell yes, he did.
No, not like
that.
Hell
Yes, he did.
In a Game 7
Magic
like that?
Magic is here, so he didn't get to Game 7, okay? But what I'm saying, other than Toronto, but Magic's here, so I'm not going to get into it. But hell yes, he did.
Doc
Rivers, Brown.
Doc Rivers just got out-coached as bad as you can get out-coached.
No, he got out-coached. Yeah.
In Game 7, we always look for a hero, right, on either side. And Herter happens to be the hero for the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, he's matched up with a 5'2" guy.
Yeah, but he got it going. You got to give him credit. He got it going. The problem, again, goes back to this. Listen, Game 5, that's where they lost it. You can't overlook Game 5. See, in a series, the most important games, you got to win. Against a young team like the Hawks, when you have your advantage and you compound them and get the victory, Game 5 is where the series was either.
I have a question for you, Magic.
Right.
I have a question for you because the question as to where should Simmons go, to me, hinges on who can get between his ears.
But
there's a problem there.
That's right.
Who do you think is...
And then just a couple of nuggets.
And then we got to get a commercial break.
Somebody mentioned Porzingis. I'm just getting texts literally. Somebody mentioned Porzingis. I'm not buying that because he's another one that I don't trust. Somebody mentioned Bradley Beal. That's not going to work. The reason why is Washington would never do that deal because Russell Westbrook's problem is shooting. So why would you bring Ben Simmons to add with that?
No, it's not going to happen.
So you're not going to do that. And then I just got it on good authority. They were watching the game last night in Portland. There's a few people there that would not want Simmons.
You said would not. Yeah.
Would not want Ben
So
Simmons.
So Magic, who could fix
Magic while you were here? They're like, no.
Who could fix his confidence?
Just like you did.
Who could fix his confidence? Like the whole question as to where he goes is who can get to him.
You got to have a veteran sitting there that can hopefully get his confidence back for him, right? And also take the pressure off him. You know who he reminds me of? Iguodala. Same situation in Philly.
Miscast as a 1, yes.
Couldn't live up to the billing. Went to Golden State.
Right.
Great player.
And great player, right? When he was the third guy, no pressure on him.
The biggest problem with him was his initials. See, he was AI, okay? But he came to Philly with the initials AI after the real AI was in the building for 10 years.
One thing about Iguodala, though, he was never scared to shoot.
No,
there was no fear in Iguodala.
But I'm just saying the situation is almost the same where they didn't live up to the billing of being drafted that high, and then he went where he could now be the third of Draymond, Clay, and Steph, and he found a perfect role. So don't give up on Ben Simmons. He's too young, too talented.
Just
not in Philly. That's all it is.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. That's all we're saying. Just in Philly.
Just work on the free throws a little. Worst percentage ever in the playoffs.
Well, see, this is where this is where I get upset at young guys. You think you're all of that.
And a bag of chips.
That's right.
Your game.
And you haven't been working on your game in the summertime.
That's right.
Ben Simmons, Rich Paul, your agent, got to get you to work on your game all summer.
But maybe this, you got humbled, you know?
That's right.
Sometimes we're picking the grapes, sometimes we're
And
drinking
Molly,
the wine. We've all been there.
And Molly, in the off season, half of them are in LA and Miami. No.
Yep.
You don't
I
need
get
to
the
go
feeling
there. You need to be somewhere else working on your game. Not there.
They're working on their other game.
You can't do it. You can't do it. No. Not Miami and LA. No.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Do you have a Stephen A's list for me? That's what I'm hearing. So despite scoring the most points ever in a Game 7, Kevin Durant bounced from the playoffs on Saturday night. Stephen A has his top 5 reasons why Brooklyn didn't advance. Stephen A's list.
You
better bring it.
That's right.
You know who did advance? That would be the Suns, and they didn't miss a beat, even without CP3. Just how badly do the Clippers need Kawhi back in order to keep up with Book? First take rolls on.
It's just too many distractions. You can't be going to play. Oh, yeah. The man, the magic man is in the house. So guess what I came up with? I usually reserve Stephen's A-list for the end of the show, but I wanted this near the beginning, Magic, because the Brooklyn Nets are home. They are done, just like the Knicks, but I won't rub it in too much because I was rooting for Brooklyn. Knicks first, New York always with me, but here's the bottom line. There's 5 reasons, Magic Johnson. This is dedicated to you. 5 reasons why the Brooklyn Nets are home right now. Let's go to number 5 on the list. Give it to me right now. Giannis showed up, averaged 32 and 13, wasn't scared of the moment. It's Game 7 in Brooklyn on the road after he did his thing in Game 6. What does he do against KD? With KD putting on an absolute show. Giannis dropped 40. Okay, he didn't disappear. He didn't shrink in the moment. We got to give the Greek Freak love where love is due. Let's go to number 4 on the list, please. Give it to me right now. Kyrie Irving's injury. We all know that if Kyrie Irving, that showstopper, Mr. Box Office, the nastiest handle in the game, one of the most skilled, Max Kellerman says arguably the most skilled players you ever see. If this dude doesn't twist his ankle, excuse me, the Milwaukee Bucks are not in the conference finals. It's the Brooklyn Nets that's here if Kyrie Irving had stayed healthy, but it didn't happen. Give me number 3 on the list, please. Joe Harris. Don't get me started with this brother right here. I mean, you're supposed to be a shooter. You are supposed to be a shooter, especially when you're open. That's the key. With Kevin Durant putting on a show. James Harden with the hamstring, still playing 46 minutes one game, 39 the other. Shows up for Game 7. You got open shots, Joe Harris, and all of a sudden, you can't hit the damn river. It's right out here. You couldn't even shoot the ball into the river. That's a problem, Joe Harris. Look in the mirror this offseason. You had the jumper all year long until it counted. And then we couldn't find you as an APB out for you. Think about that. Let's go to number 2 on the list, please. Give it to me, Steve Nash. Excuse me, Steve Nash, ever heard of a timeout to give Kevin Durant a break? Because you know how exhausted he is. He played 48 minutes for you in Game 5. He showed up in Game 6, was in the midst of playing all 53 minutes in Game 7. Think you could have called the timeout to give him a breather, a break, so he wouldn't shoot an air ball on that last shot after being completely spent? I won't get into some of your other substitutions. I won't get into some of the other things that you didn't do. But that was a flagrant error on your part, Steve Nash. You made a slew of them, and coaching clearly was an issue. But it doesn't eclipse number 1. Give it to me right here. Karma. Why?
Wow.
Get out of here. Listen to this, Max. Stay with me. James Harden, love him, but wanted out of Houston. Came into camp out of shape. Came into the season out of shape. You think that didn't have something to do with the hamstring injury you ultimately incurred? Absolutely. I brought up coaching at number 2, right? Remember, Kyrie Irving is quoted as saying at the beginning of the season, we don't really need coaching. Guess what? Kyrie, you were thinking about you. What about the other players that we're going to need to produce? Better coaching might have had those other dudes ready to help Kevin Durant in a Game 7. Then you, Kyrie Irving, you missed some games. You took a couple of weeks off. You took off whenever you wanted. That didn't send the right message to the team. Blake Griffin, you didn't show up in Detroit. You stole money from the Detroit Pistons. You didn't want to play basketball. You didn't even dunk in 2 years until you arrived at Brooklyn. Okay? This kind of stuff ultimately comes back to bite you.
That's what happened to the Brooklyn Nets. That is why they're home right now. If they were together, if they were committed, if they put in that work constantly, day in and day out, not just as coaches, but as players, you would have been more together. Karma wouldn't have been against you, and you'd be in the Eastern Conference right now. These are my 5 reasons why the Brooklyn Nets are home watching the playoffs with the rest of us. My apologies to KD, because good God, he was sensational. I got to give it to you. That's the list right there. I take that list all day long.
Karma's, you won me over with karma.
Yeah.
You said stay with me. I did. You won me over with karma. But let's keep it simple. Injuries is number 1. Period. Injuries decide this whole playoffs. LeBron's ankle and LeBron's wheel, whatever, and AD not playing every series. Just look what happened.
But I basically included
every
it in it. I talked about the injuries is part of the karma. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but Kyrie is hurt and Harden's hurt. That wasn't James Harden. That was like a shell of James Harden.
But I told you why.
Okay, Nash is right on the money. Nash, right after injuries, is Nash. It was easy to be the coach of that team when you roll the ball out and say, take us there, KD. But could you design some plays?
But
maybe
Max,
take Harden out of the game?
But, Max, everything you just said is right. But they still had a chance to win Game 7.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All the things you just said, they still had a chance to win if Joe Harris had just hit 2 or 3 shots.
Or KD doesn't airball the last shot.
Well, he's too tired.
He's exhausted.
Yeah,
he's exhausted.
I mean, you can't expect him. I mean, the man did everything that he could to put his team in a position to win. He hits almost. I wish it was a 3. It was a 2 at the end.
I know, that was a killer.
Because the feet was too damn.
That was a killer. But you know why I bring up the missed shot? You're right. KD played his heart out. It was amazing. But LeBron always gets held to the MJ standard. Right. Michael Jordan would have done that. Michael Jordan never takes ever in a Game 7 the last shot with the game on the line, airballs a shot. Just never happens. So I'm just saying KD has played himself to the point now where he has to get the same comparisons that LeBron got.
I'm going to break this down.
Please do.
We finally found out about the Brooklyn Nets. They got 3 superstars. The best entertainer in all of basketball, Kyrie Irving. James Harden played the best I've ever seen him play this whole season. And KD's on another level. The torch is almost being passed from LeBron to him as the best player on the planet. But it's going to be the role players. If he doesn't improve those players around those 3, they're not going to win it next year. Joe Harris can be a piece to bring in guys. You need guys. Just look at the Lakers. KCP, Rondo, Dwight Howard, Caruso. All those guys help the Lakers win. And you need those type of guys if you're going to win a championship. The 3 going to perform well, but you need the other guys.
Listen, and I'm going to go here with you. You're not just, you're Magic. You're a champion. You know this game like the back of your hand. You also know the importance of coaching. Here's where I come to you as a star, basically the face of a franchise. It's not just that Steve Nash is the coach. It's that you picked him.
Yeah.
Sean Marks picks the coach you want. It don't matter what he came to you and suggested. If you said no, Steve Nash wouldn't be the coach.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, like, let's take a time, if we can point, because there's only one thing we could point the finger at KD about this season. One thing and one thing only. KD pretty much followed and adopted the mentality of Kyrie Irving. It's not that important. We got a crew. We gonna be all right no matter what. No, Steve Nash is gonna be I think they're gonna win championship next year if they're healthy. But the point is this: not a scintilla of experience as a head coach on any level. And you know how tough it is to win championships. And you would have that kind of attitude. I think for a champion like Kyrie Irving and for a champion like KD, who know the game and know how important coaching is, to have that kind of mentality is inexcusable. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that, both of those guys have won a championship.
Right.
They know what it takes to win a championship. Sometimes you look and say, hey, we're good enough. We don't need a coach. But you do need a coach.
Yeah.
Timeouts or adjustments.
Yeah.
See, the playoffs, Molly, show you who can really coach. That's when you earn your money. It's not during the regular season. It's the playoff. Who can make adjustments? Nate McMillan made adjustments.
Yeah.
You can go to the Phoenix Suns coach.
Yeah, Monty Williams.
Monty Williams made great adjustments.
I can blow you away with this. Brooklyn had a chance to have Ty Lue if they wanted him.
Ty Lue makes adjustments in every round.
Ty Lue.
Ty Lue might mess around and be the best coach in the NBA.
That's right.
Yeah, he might be the best coach in the NBA.
If Ty Lue is coaching the Brooklyn Nets, what are we saying right now?
Let me say one thing, Stephen A, to you about this Nash point. You won me over. You were on this Nash thing since the beginning, because Magic, I actually disagree about one thing. I think if the big three are healthy, they will lay waste to this league. The role players can mess up. If the big three are healthy, because what you saw you never really got to see it.
It doesn't happen like that, Max. It doesn't happen like that.
Okay, I'll say this.
You can't just say that because I got three of the best players in the league, we're going to automatically win. That doesn't work like that. And they don't have defensive-minded cats. Listen, those three can score against anybody. Now you bring in one or two defensive-minded guys. P.J. Tucker, what did he do for the Milwaukee Bucks? He brought a mentality that was different. He's not soft. All the other dudes before him were soft. So he said, we're not going to play soft no more. So, yes, KD scored 40-something points on him, but he made him earn every one of them. And that's what you need. Brooklyn needs mentality, a tough mentality. They got the scores, but they still got to get some defensive-minded guys.
Magic, I'm not arguing with Magic Johnson. I'll just say, if you and Michael and Larry played on the same team, Molly and me could be the other two people, you guys would have won all the time. Like, they have sick talent in that big three. But where I agree with Stephen A, where I think this comes into play about Nash, is what if someone gets hurt? What if now you can't just roll the ball out there going coach?
Bounced.
He was right about Steve Nash. He's right about mentality. He won me over with the karma thing.
I was right about Ben
karma.
Simmons.
The number one reason Stephen A says the Nets are not still in these playoffs is karma. I like that. Who needs their star player back more? The Clippers with Kawhi Leonard or the Suns with their... Chris Paul sat out Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals on Sunday due to COVID-19 health safety protocols. In his absence, Devin Booker came up huge. 40 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, triple-double to lead the Suns to victory. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard hasn't played since injuring his knee in Game 4 of the Clippers series against the Jazz. Paul George has stepped up with Kawhi out, but it wasn't enough to get a win in Game 1. Magic Johnson, which team needs its star to return more, Clips or Suns?
Definitely the Clippers, because I think that with home court advantage going to the Suns, you can win 4 games at home, right? And give up 3 games on the road. So I think the Clippers need Kawhi. And Kawhi probably wants to play and redeem himself, just like we're seeing Paul George stepping up because of what happened last season. So I would say Kawhi needs to be back more for this series than Chris Paul with the Phoenix Suns.
Couple of things. As an aside, I agree with Magic about that. I'd also like to remind the viewing audience out here that they're very, very lucky that Magic Johnson decided to just go back to being an ultra successful businessman, not running the Lakers franchise, because the basketball world wouldn't be fair, because Kawhi would have been in the Lakers uniform if this man was still there with LeBron and AD. I'm telling you what I know. He don't have to. I'm telling you what I know. Now,
all 3 of those guys were out. All 3 of them were hurt.
3 of them. Well, let me tell you something. They said they had to limp their way to that. All right. Having said all of that, I'm going to tell you it's Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
You want me to tell you why? Because without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers ain't winning this series. Now, I give the Clippers major props. Ty Lue, exceptional job. And that environment Friday night was electrifying.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Clippers environment like that in my life. Okay, it was something special to behold. And them raining threes and that kid, man, who's right from the Bronx out of Florida State, it was special.
You can play.
Beverly hit 3 threes, and it was just crazy. It was unbelievable. Having said all of that, this is a different level, because whereas you had Donovan Mitchell and basically nobody else athletically, particularly with Conley hurt, that's not a problem in Phoenix. They're a guard-oriented team with Bridges, all right, Booker, CP3 of these boys, Payne coming off the bench. I like them. But I want to say this for the record with Magic Johnson sitting right here in studio with me. I told you with Donovan Mitchell, that's D-Wade 2.0. He's special. Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
I'm saying it on national television. Devin Booker
said it.
is the next Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
It is official. His first playoff appearance. And the brother's a number one option, averaging over 28, dropped 40 in a triple-double in the first game of the conference finals. And just the way he plays, he's an assassin. And guess what? This Clippers team, you need Kawhi back to knock that kid off.
What did I say before the series started? Devin Booker is a mini Mamba. He's the closest thing offensively to Kobe's game in the sense that he can kill you from anywhere.
Yeah.
Kobe was his mentor as well.
Yeah, he's a mini Mamba. Here's the thing,
mini.
and I hate this question. I hate it because it's a hard question to answer. Who needs their star more? I'm actually going to say Phoenix needs Chris Paul more, and I'll tell you why. Chris Paul, like James Harden was playing the best basketball of his career. Chris Paul in the last series is the best he's ever played, and that is saying something in that career. That was perfect. I always ask Stephen A because of his relationship with Larry Brown. Like, Chris Paul must be Larry Brown's, like, that's how you, perfect. That's exactly how you play it. Right. And that was the perfect point guard playing perfectly, right? Now, here's why they need that. Devin Booker gave you a 40-point triple-double at home. You won by the skin of your teeth. By the skin of your teeth. And if you think man can't play that way, man can play. He can play. Paul George can play. Rondo can play. They have a team full of guys who can play. They were on the road without Kawhi, and that late shot by Batum in the fourth quarter, I forgot how much time was left, it looked good out of his hands, may have changed that. Maybe they wind up winning that game. He's off a little bit. That Clippers team is live without Kawhi. I think the Suns need Chris Paul back.
If you were, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Max, there's no maybes, baby, in the playoffs. You either win or you lose.
Right.
That's all.
By the way.
That's it. So Chris Paul can miss a game because of pain. Because he can run the show and Devin can score. Bridges is playing, man, off the charts right now. They got a lot of guys that can get you 10 points, 12 points, so on and on. The Clippers, if they're going to beat the Phoenix Suns, need Kawhi. Kawhi was playing some of his best basketball, too. See, we didn't give him love because he's been dominant during this playoffs. So I think the Clippers really need him. And you got to go on the road and beat them.
Yeah, you're going to have to take one on the road at least.
You got to take one on the road. So that's why I say Kawhi. And you're right about CP3. He's playing the best he's ever played. But we know he's coming back.
That's right.
See, we know he's coming back. We don't know if Kawhi is coming back.
I don't want to make, I know we got to go. I don't want to make my brother Magic sick at all. But as an aside, I don't even want to make you sick, and I actually like making you sick sometimes. But I got to tell you this. I actually heard that Brooklyn, P.J. Tucker's camp, was telling folks he thought he was going to end up in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's the guy.
He thought he was going to end up in Brooklyn, and for some reason, it didn't happen.
Wow.
If you Brooklyn,
wow,
how do you not grab P.J. Tucker?
I'm telling you.
How do you let that man...
I love P.J. Tucker.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Michael Cooper, who I used to play with.
Great in the locker room, great with the press, great with, and does the dirty work.
Hard out here, fellas. Let me get this break in. Kevin Durant.
Now, back to you. First take.
Yes, everybody. That was this date 4 years ago today. And as the mystery books indicate, you'd both be right, as Magic did get LeBron to the Lakers one championship later. I would say that worked out for LA. Speaking of LeBron, guys, a lot of folks say he's still the best player in the league, that the torch has not been passed yet. So that's where we go with this next debate. So after scoring the most points ever in a Game 7, has Kevin Durant, I'm looking at you, sir, officially passed LeBron James as the best player in the NBA?
Molly, not yet.
Okay.
He got to win that chip. He got to win that championship. And they came up short, just like LeBron and the Lakers came up short this season. So LeBron still has the edge on those championship rings. So I would say not yet. But I tell you, I was just taken back. And I've never seen a guy perform like KD did in that Bucks series, and just like he was doing it from everywhere. So I was very impressed with KD. He's one of my favorite all-time players, and the way he can score, where he can score from, is just amazing. And I would say this, You know how the torch is being like this, like
in the Olympics, the pass,
they
gotta work on that turn.
And KD is like got his arm out, waiting on it. And let me just bring this up.
LeBron turning.
Exactly. Let me just bring this up. It's just like Larry Bird and I. We are on the bus.
That's right.
We're on the bus.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. You tell it.
First person.
Nobody can tell it like you. That's exactly what I was doing. It's yours. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I had this
You make me mad now.
I need yours.
So we're on the bus.
Right.
And Michael Jordan looks at me, looks at Larry, and says, "There's a new sheriff in town."
That's right. That's right. After practice.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I said, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right.
He was right.
And he was right.
He was right.
Yes, sir.
And it's KD is looking right now. Go ahead.
I've said this to Max on several occasions. So it's the first year KD arrived in Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
Previous year they had lost in Game 7, OKC, Golden State. They beat LeBron in the finals, whatever. Actually, LeBron beat them in the finals that year. The next year, KD is going up against LeBron. And the first basket of the game, money, KD scores. And KD goes like this and spreads his arm out wide like, let's go. And what I was saying to Max is I said, in basketball parlance, that's when you saying to a guy, I'm here now.
Yeah.
See, you had me when I had the other crew. But now I got a crew like you do. Mm-hmm. Now it's me and you in KD's mind. Now it's me and you. And that series, even though LeBron averaged a triple-double with 32 points, triple-double, and he was sensational.
Yeah.
I constantly remind folks, KD averaged 35 on 53% shooting. Brother wasn't playing. And what I'm saying to you is this. I'm partial to offense. I know how great LeBron is. LeBron has a better resume. KD got some work to do to catch LeBron's resume.
Right.
But I'm talking talent. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the offensive talent of Kevin Durant, and I think about those 38,000 points that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scored, one guy in this sat up there and said, you know what, I feel like, I think I'm going to catch this record. If he decides, I just think I'm going to catch this record. He's going to do it because he's just that unstoppable. To be the sniper that he is at 6'11" with a 7'6" wingspan, who can finish at the free throw line.
Let me say this real quick because we're going to run out of time real quick. I'll put it, what's real barbershop talk? It's basketball and boxing for the most part, right? So let me make this barbershop for a second.
Sure.
LeBron had the undisputed title. Mm-hmm. There was no dispute to his claim, right?
Yeah.
It's like Tyson Fury when he beat Klitschko. He's the undisputed champ. Then he went away for a while and Anthony Joshua was coming up, right? Now there's a dispute. Whoever you think is champion, there's a dispute at least, right? LeBron, the title has not been taken, but there's a dispute. KD, the way he just played, has a legit dispute, has a legit claim that, hold on, I'm number one, and LeBron's going to have to go out and defend the title again next year. It's up for grabs. He's not the undisputed champ anymore like he was. I thought he outplayed KD in that first series with Golden State and Cleveland.
I think you're right. Now there is a debate where before there was never a debate.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting next year for both of them, right? Can we finally see LeBron and the Lakers against Brooklyn and the Nets? Because we thought we were going to see that this season. But what has happened this season has been great for basketball. Atlanta Hawks, new teams, new superstars. Now, Trae Young is a superstar, not a star anymore. Devin Booker is a superstar, not a star anymore. So this has been great for the league.
Markets like Milwaukee, a lot of teams we didn't expect.
And then let's give him love because the Greek Freak is a different player than he was the last couple playoffs. He finally understands what he has to do to be effective when they build that wall against him. And Chris Middleton, let's give him love. That guy is real at closing the games for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I need to get your thoughts on this, though, guys.
Okay.
Coming up next year on First Take.
There's a lot of Laker fans here, but once the Lakers are gone, if we're not playing the Lakers, you should be cheering for the Clippers. And that's just how I feel because it's all one city. And I can just feel the love, and I'm just very happy and proud of our guys.
You hear that?
I heard him. You know I love Coach Lou. I wanted him to coach the Lakers. That's right. But he knows that Laker fans are not going to be pulling for the Clippers. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
And this is what I will say to you. The best thing for Laker Nation is for the Clippers to win. You know why?
Why?
Because the comfort of being a Los Angeles Laker, I'm talking about as players in the organization, will be gone. And the level of fervor that you naturally have ingrained in you would permeate throughout the whole organization, because there's a champion in L.A. and it ain't you. We ain't having it. And so from that point, it will hold that organization
as you know,
accountable.
I lived in L.A. for 6 years, did Max and Marcellus with Marcellus Wiley, my man, on ESPN Radio. Magic, you remember. And let me just tell you something. Lakers fans find the Clippers adorable until they come up in the world. Then they hate them. Right. They're Lakers fans rather see the Celtics win than the Clippers. No. Lakers fans will never root for the Clippers. That will never happen.
When Clippers come to Dodger Stadium to watch the Dodgers play and they put them on the screen, they boo.
Boo.
That's real fandom. That's loyalty. I respect it. Laker Nation always
And my boy Chris Paul, when he